Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to make a video talking about living in Los Angeles. I have lived in LA now for a year this month, so I wanted to bestow some of my 1 year wisdom to you. I wrote down 10 things that I think that you should know when you are moving to LA or thinking about moving to LA. So yeah, hopefully these tips will give you some insight and clarity into what it's like living here. I actually want to make a whole video series of a guide to living in LA because they're truly, it's a lot of information and there's a lot of hacks and tips that I've learned along the way, and I would love to share that knowledge with you as well. So this is going to be a beginning video for just a quick 10 tips that I think you should know, but I will definitely be making more videos on this topic as well. Tip number 1 is to get your finances in order before you move here. I moved here because I act and my boyfriend does post-production work. Well, he's working in post-production right now, but he does PA work and then also does screenwriting and directing. We had a production company up where we lived before, and we shot commercials and all that. So we've done a lot of independent work, and he's now working within the Hollywood system, and I'm working a day job as I do my my acting and my horse stuff. So yeah, that's the way we're navigating this industry. So I do come into this LA knowledge with a spin on the entertainment industry, which is a side point of the entertainment industry is the bread and butter industry of LA. It's really cool to see how many people are involved in the entertainment industry here and how many families they support. It's just really cool to see it. It was something that I was surprised by moving here. With that being said, there is a lot of the starving artist thing. I don't believe the starving artist thing can exist anymore. It's gotten to the point where it's like you are no longer being able to practice your art if you are starving in this day and age. It's just so expensive even when you have a full-time job that I don't recommend coming here until you have your finances in order. I'm paranoid as it is with finances. I had a weird relationship with money growing up, so I am a saver. I save a lot of money. I live frugally. Make sure that you have some income coming in. I recommend getting a job with a company that is based like nationwide and then transferring to a location here in LA. I think that's a really good idea for getting a solid job and income to back up for especially getting qualified for housing. I also recommend getting a good credit score because it's going to be crucial when you're looking for apartments to rent. Even if you rent a room, they are going to do an application and a background check and whatever, all the credit checks and all that. So make sure that you are ready to come here, save up money for the move, make sure you've got income coming in, and make sure that your credit is good. Number 2 is you are not in LA until you are physically in LA. And I'll explain what that means. So everyone in LA doesn't believe you when you say you're moving to LA until you actually have a residence in LA. So this was something that was really interesting. Even landlords, when we were looking at apartments, even though we lived in California and we're an 8-hour drive away, they wanted us to be here to check out the place. They wanted to know if we were in town and if we were ready to sign the lease right then and there. Also with jobs, same thing. They want to know if you're in LA. You kind of are just like not really taken seriously until you're actually here. Number 3 is that housing is very competitive and it goes very quick. When we were down here, we came down for 1 weekend to find apartments, and they were going so quick. They would go within the day. We would tour and we would be interested and we'd apply and they'd say it was already rented. It was insane how quick it goes. And your girl is from a pretty competitive housing market in the San Francisco Bay Area where a house can go for $200,000 over asking price in 2 days of being listed in cash. So just keep that in mind and be ready to sign and get on it. Which is why I really think that you should have your finances in order, because you just got to have everything ready to go and kosher so that you make sure that it's just going to be a smooth transition, because it is very tough here. A couple of websites I recommend looking at for apartments are apartments.com, Zillow, hotpads.com. You can look on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. I found the best inventory on apartments.com and then hotpads.com. Make sure when you come here to look at apartments that you are ready to apply and you have your money ready to go as well. That is something that was a little bit of a challenge here. Make sure that you have a bank that you can get cash from. I had a hard time getting cash from my credit union, so it was a little bit of a doozy when we had to do the first, last, and deposit. So make sure that you've got that settled as well. Number 4 is download the Citizen app for events going on in the neighborhoods. This is a good idea to see what's going on in certain neighborhoods, and then also you can see just kind of get an idea once you're living here of what's happening in the neighborhood, so that way you can kind of plan, mostly driving, so that you know that you're not driving into like a massive thing that's going on, and you can save time as well. Number 5, parking is an event down here. This was me before LA. I would just show up to wherever I was gonna go. I didn't really need to think about parking. Down here, you have to think about parking before you even go. So what I like to do is I like to search my destination if it's my first time going. I like to look at Google Street View to see what the parking times are, if there's free parking, if it's metered parking, what are my options? Do they have a parking lot on site? Like, what is it gonna be? You don't have the luxury anymore of just showing up and there's a parking lot with ample amounts of spaces. It is quite an event to park down here. Because parking is so big down here as well, make sure that you research when you're looking at apartments what the parking is like in the area as well. You can look at Google Street View to make sure that you are in an area that has parking that's accessible. Keep in mind that apartments that are 1 bedrooms usually come with 1 parking spot. 2 bedroom will sometimes come with 1, but most of the time they come with 2. Usually they're tandem. So just make sure that you have that in mind when you're looking at apartments. One thing I like to recommend is the LA Department of Transportation has parking permits that you can get. Some neighborhoods, they will only allow like 2-hour parking, for instance, on the curb, but it'll say except for this permit. That's a permit you can get through the city. You can also get permits through parking lots that are like basically metered lots where you would typically pay by the hour, but you can get permits that are monthly that you can pay extra, and then all you do is you can park there for your 72 hours. Remember that rule as well. Number 6 is research the neighborhoods that you want to live in. I recommend when you are moving to LA, and if you are moving, especially most people move from out of the area, so it's hard to come down and just check things out. If you have that luxury, definitely do it. But if you are not, do a ton of online research. I did so much online research because I knew that we had 2 days to find an apartment when we drove down here. So I made sure that I knew which neighborhood I wanted to live in, what apartments looked like the most promising, and going in person was honestly just to confirm and to make sure there wasn't like roaches just running around. Also, a big thing for me when I was researching was walkability of the neighborhood, because I knew I was going to be driving in traffic for so long, I wanted to have some walkability in the neighborhood to where I could walk safely to restaurants or to do some errands or whatever. I wanted that option because I knew I was going to be in the car for so long. So luckily we got a really walkable neighborhood, which I love. So just keep that in mind if that's something that's important to you. Number 7 is the closer you are to the coast, the more cool it's going to be, more temperate it's going to be. The more that you go inland and kind of north is going to be a little bit drier and more deserty. So keep that in mind as well when you're looking for apartments. Coming from the Bay Area, I knew I wanted to stay close to the coast, which is why we ended up in West LA. I wanted to be able to have that fresh air and breeze and fog to come in the evenings. It tends to stay warmer more inland as you go, and that's kind of typical for any region, but it is also true here. Number 8 is use Waze to navigate traffic in LA. I was using my Apple iPhone map for quite some time, and I noticed that it would be like 15 to 20 minutes off. I'd always get there 15 to 20 minutes later than it said it would. So I switched to Waze, and Waze is an app that's pretty common down here in LA. It's basically kind of like it reminds me of Reddit, where there's like just people on there. It's not a forum, but there are users that are reporting like events that are going on and traffic, so it's a little bit more accurate when it comes to traffic predictions. It also has a cool navigation system for like your music, and then also it has a really cool feature where it'll like remind you when you need to leave or whatever. So it's more catered toward dense populated areas where traffic is such a big deal, and so it's really nice to use. Number 9 is to join a Buy Nothing project group on Facebook. So this is not really a tip I really see often, but it has saved me so many times and has helped me out so many times. So a Buy Nothing project is it's a global project, so you can, if you live anywhere, you can join a Buy Nothing group. I didn't discover it until I moved here to LA, but they basically are like micro communities. So you join a group based on where you are, and it's very, very like certain like cross streets. So it's not just like a whole neighborhood. It's literally like a certain area of town is where you can qualify to join it, and it's basically where you can get free items. It's the premise is buy nothing, so you can get free items, you can give free items, and it can be food, it can be electronics. I actually got like a $150 monitor on there. That's my computer monitor, so you can find some really cool stuff on there, and I recommend doing it, especially because it's so expensive here that sometimes you just want to save some money by getting free things. Number 10 is that alleys and streets are like dumping grounds for furniture and for cool things. So there's this like hidden rule in LA that you can just kind of put things out on the street and people will scavenge and take them. And we actually have a bookshelf that I got in the alley. There's a lot of cool stuff that people will put out there when they're moving. All you do is you just go out there and you just grab it. And it's kind of like an unspoken rule that if it's out on the curb, it's pretty much up for grabs. That was a fun thing that I realized learning living in LA, was that you can pretty much just scavenge around. There's something about it that just feels like I'm like dumpster diving, but there's no dumpsters involved. If you're like looking for furniture, yeah, I'm currently waiting for a coffee table to be put out on the curb, and we'll be taking it. So those are my 10 tips for living in LA. I have a ton more tips in my head. I just don't want to make this video super long. So I'm going to link down below all the resources that I talked about in this video. I do plan on making more videos on living in LA, driving in LA, parking in LA, finding housing, how we did it in 2 days, all of that stuff. I really want to make sure that if you are moving to LA, that you have a lot of resources and support here. If you have any questions, let me know down below in the comments. If you liked this video, give it a like. Let me know if you want to see more of these videos on LA living. If you like my content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.